Today we're going to focus on a Bible code about the copper scroll. It was one of the scrolls that were found among the Dead Sea Scrolls, and it was found in 1952 in Cave 3. And it was the only scroll that was made completely out of copper. And in this scroll was a list of treasures that were possibly from the time of the tabernacle that Moses built in the wilderness and the temple, treasures that were used in both of those. And this table is found in the book of Genesis on 1 through Exodus 18 verse 2. And this is the access term right here. It's the copper, starting with the brown, going up in the red, Hanakash. And it is a skip of 5,812 letters. And some words that are in this table. Mishkan is in this light green, and it crosses over the access term and shares the shin, Kaf, Nun. Also, in the same line but going downward is temple, which starts with this hay. It shares the hay that's with the copper, and it's Haykal. And I find it interesting that both tabernacle and temple are connected in some way to the access term. Running perpendicular to Nekashet, the copper, is scrolls in this blue, and it's crossing over the first letter in our access term. And what were some of the treasures that are possibly among in this copper scroll? Well, we've got the ark. It starts with the pink here, Aleph, Resh, Wa, Nun. And the covenant, so Ark of the Covenant, in this mauve, going down diagonally, and it is crossing over temple, and the ark crosses over that line as well. In the orange is cherubim, and the mercy seat that was on the Ark of the Covenant had two cherubs, one on each end of it. And cherubim were also embroidered into the veil that was before the Holy of Holies. And if you follow that line where the calf is, follow it over until you come to this teal letter. This is frankincense, but it starts at the bottom and goes up. And it parallels cherubim. See, each line, it goes over, it's on the same line. And the frankincense was one of the ingredients in the incense that was put on the altar of incense. Another word is Ephod. The ephod starts in this purple, Aleph, Pe, Daled. The ephod is what the high priest wore, and it had the breastplate on it with all those gems representing the tribes of Israel. Also had the Urim and Thummim, and which helped the high priest make decisions. In the pink, going up diagonal, we have treasures. And the same word is again in the pink on the left side, going up diagonal. And in between those two treasures, we have the word map, starting with the green, hay, going up there, so treasure map. And now we're going to deal with some places and people that are found in this table. If you look at the copper scroll, it talks about the valley of Achor. And valley is in this purple, Ayin Mem Kuf, and Akor is in the gold lettering, crossing right over the valley. And there's a document that was written in the 1600s called Amek HaMelech, meaning Valley of the King. So looking at the same valley that was for Akor, and then crossing through that word we have HaMelech, the King, Valley of the King. And here in the yellow with the brown lettering is Wadi, and that's what they call a valley over in the Judean desert. And where Qumran is, there is a valley called Wadi Qumran. Here in the peach color is Jordan, and Qumran is located just northwest of the Dead Sea, and the Jordan River flows into the Dead Sea. And today the copper scrolls are housed in the Archaeological Museum in Amman, Jordan. So that's two good reasons to have Jordan in this table. In the yellow is Jeremiah, and it's going at a very slight diagonal angle. You can also spell Jeremiah with a vav, a wa on the end, but sometimes in scripture it's spelled like this. And if you were to look in the second book of Maccabees, chapter 2, in there Yahuwah is telling Jeremiah to take some treasures and bury them. And could it be that they were the treasures in that are listed in this temple scroll, or this copper scroll? And also in 2 Maccabees it talks about Jeremiah going to Mount Nebo. In this mauve is Har Nebo. And that's where Moses was allowed to see the promised land, but he wasn't allowed to cross over the Jordan into the promised land. There's a historian called Philo. He's here, Pe Yod Lamed Wa, and he wrote about a community that lived in the Qumran area. I'm not sure if he called them the Essenes, but and it's debatable whether it was the Essenes that lived in the Qumran settlement. But Philo's there. Also we have Elohim right at the top of the table. And at the bottom, in the purple, is Messiah, Mashiach. And with the yod on the end, it's Mashiach, Messianic. Israeli is in this blue. Israel to there, and then Israeli if you add the yod. The word Hebrew is in this table twice in the red, Ibri, and again right below. This one's in the plain text of Scripture. And the yod is shared in the word Yehudi, which goes down vertically. And that means Judean or Jewish. And in this black lettering, we have apostasy. And that's the reason that the house of Judah went into exile and the house of Israel went into exile, because of apostasy, turning away from Yahuwah. And all the words that are going vertical at a skip of 1 like this, they're all the exact same skip as the access term, the copper. And now moving on, we're going to look at some archaeological terms, or some scientific type terms, starting with this mem here, the brown, going down diagonal. That is cave, and the copper scroll was found in a cave. and some of the treasures are said to be found in caves. They have yet to be found, though. In this light teal, going up diagonal, is hiding place, and it touches the mem for cave. In this very dark brown, we have buried, and it's crossing over the access term. These treasures are buried at certain depths, and it's very specific in the copper scroll how far down to dig and how far away from this or that. It's very specific, and we already looked at the map. Now in this line here we have three interesting words. There's located, which is right here, a skip of one letter, and analysis is, it starts with this noon, yod, and it shares the wa in that the word located. And then we have location here, and that starts here with this teal, and it's sharing in the word located too. It crosses over it. So that's interesting, those three all in that line. In the line right above that, we have accurate or precise to the deled, sharing the deled in the Ephod. So the measurements are accurate and precise. Okay, and down here, starting with the tzadi, is heaped or piled or accumulated. These treasures were just kind of piled in their little locations. Here, in the light green lettering, is amount. It tells the amount of each pile of treasure. In this dark green, going up, is quantity, and if you add the yod, it's quantitative. Right beside is the word salty, and the Dead Sea is very salty, that area. Seismic is here, and it's, the Dead Sea is actually on a fault line. So, you know, just speculating, but what if someday we had another earthquake, and that may help to unearth some of these treasures. And we have reliable in this pink. Reliable, credible, genuine, authentic, can mean all those things. Here in the yellow, the purple lettering is ketub, which means written or inscribed. And the copper scroll was actually hammered from the back so that it dented into the copper scroll so that you could read it from the front. So it took a lot of skill to make this copper scroll. And then right beside written or inscribed is the word scribe in this purple. And then this word here, starting with the aleph, going down, is validation. And if these treasures are found someday, it would bring validation to the scriptures and the testimony of Yahuwah. And it would bring more people to a saving knowledge of Him. Thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation.